Good evening and welcome to Easy Friday. Tonight, President William Ruto is calling on law enforcers to strike a balance between upholding the national security and upholding constitutional freedoms. We have details for you. Obviously, as the president presided over the graduation ceremony of that is the 149th pass-out parade of police at the Kiganjo Police Training College, and a bit of politics as Deputy President Professor Kioria insists the Mount Kenya region cannot afford to be in the opposition after the 2027 elections. Welcome to Easy Friday. Here are tonight's highlights.
In a constitutional democracy, security must protect public order.
Uphold your integrity. President William Ruto challenges police officers to strike a balance between protecting constitutional freedoms and dealing firmly with criminality and political violence. Committee prison escapees. 3 terror suspects who escaped from prison in 2021 handed an additional 15-year jail term. And uproar over new containerized cargo tax. Police dispersed protesting traders marching to Parliament and Kenya Revenue Authority officials. Our sign language interpreter tonight is Anne Wangeshi. My name is John Jacob Kioria. Welcome to this broadcast. Tonight, President William Ruto is challenging police officers to uphold security while protecting the rights and freedoms of Kenyans as the country prepares for the next elections. Ruto spoke Friday when he presided over the 149th pass-out parade of police basic recruits course, one of 2025, where he called on the officers to strike a balance between protecting constitutional freedoms and dealing firmly with criminality and political violence. He added that political expression must be protected, but warned that the police must distinguish between legitimate political activity and acts of violence or intimidation.
The 149th pass-out parade of police basic recruits course 1 of 2025 saw over 6,000 young men and women adorn the new police uniform launched by the president as they transitioned from recruits to officers of the National Police. President William Ruto, who presided over the culmination of a 9-month rigorous training exercise, challenged these new officers to uphold security while protecting the rights and freedoms of Kenyans as the country prepares for the next general elections.
These constitutional provisions express a fundamental principle. Security and freedom are neither competing aspirations nor are they at loggerheads. In a constitutional democracy, security must protect public order.
The head of state said his administration will not tolerate the growing culture of political violence that has become synonymous with political meetings and gatherings.
We must secure the election without compromising the democracy we are securing. Political competition must be a contest of ideas, policies, and leadership, not a contest of hired guns, intimidation, or ethnic mobilization.
And as crime takes a more complex and advanced nature due to high adoption of technology in the country, the head of state called on the new officers to be physically prepared, professionally competent, technologically proficient, and psychologically resilient.
Criminal networks are becoming more sophisticated. Cybercrime, financial fraud, terrorism, human trafficking, organized crime, and technology-enabled violence demand new capabilities, stronger intelligence, and deeper cooperation among security agencies.
On his part, Interior Cabinet Secretary Kipchumba Murkomen said this additional manpower will serve as a force multiplier of the National Police Service, which will in turn deal with individuals and groups seeking to cause lawlessness, but added that this must be done within the confines of the Constitution.
And we have crowd management equipment that will enable us to deal with protests, especially when they are infiltrated by goons and other criminal elements, and that now our police officers are better equipped.
Inspector General of Police and his deputy exuded confidence that the graduates are ready to serve their country, even as they hailed the modernization of the service and the recruitment of 10,000 law enforcement officers under the Kenya Kwanza administration.
The graduating officers will boost the personnel strength in the service.
To our graduating officers, the new uniform you wear is your call to service.
The officers were further urged to remain loyal to the Constitution, dutiful to the Republic and honorable in conduct.
Following the pass-out parade that saw the recruits transition to officers of the National Police Service, they're now being urged to serve without fear, favor or prejudice. Yusuf Far reporting for Easy Friday in Kiganjo, Nyeri County.
Now let's get into some politics, and the Deputy President, Professor Kioria Kindiki, has asserted that the Mount Kenya region cannot afford to be in the opposition and must remain part of government. Speaking in Embu after meeting with grassroots leaders, Kindiki says the region has benefited from development projects, challenging opposition leaders to account for their development record while in office. He urged Embu County residents not to fall prey to political sloganeering, but to judge leaders based on what they delivered when in office.
The country's second in command and a host of leaders from Mount Kenya East camped in Manyata, Embu County. It is here that Deputy President Kioria Kindiki vowed to push for Mount Kenya unity, saying he is prepared to pay the price for the region's unity.
Siwezi kubali ati sasa saa hii tumeanza kushika network ya serikali ati tufukuzwe. Ati sasa ndio sasa watu ya one term, sijui wanatuambia nani atakuwa rais, wengine wale wanasema one term hawasimami.
Kindiki appealed to the residents to resist political divisions and maintain a united regional voice.
Wanatuletea watu wengine atujui, na hata hao wengine ambao wanaleta hawana track record ya maendeleo, hawajasaidia chochote. We don't want guesswork.
Kindiki and the leaders who accompanied him castigated the united opposition for what they say is lacking tangible ideas and resorting to political sloganeering rhetoric.
Usikisikia watu ya one time wakisema hakuna maendeleo, unawatajia barabara. Nimetaja zaidi ya barabara 7 hapa Embu ambazo zinaendelea. Masoko nimetaja. Mambo ya kahawa nimetaja.
Kuna mtu amedanganya watu, ndugu zetu ya pande hii ya Mount Kenya West na wengine wa hapa East kwamba anaweza waongoza kuwapeleka pahali popote, na hiyo ni urongo.
Wakati tuko na serikali ya upande ule, mlima ni moja, serikali ni nzuri, serikali ni mafuta, tushikilie serikali.
He further called on the residents to be politically tolerant and accord leaders eyeing political seats to have their say without acts of violence. He also cited falling fertilizer prices, saying the cost had dropped from 2,500 to 2,000. Kindiki further noted that the administration is constructing more than 600 modern markets across the country, 12 of which are in Embu County. Abdiaziz Hashim for Easy Friday.
And business in Nairobi's Central Business District CBD was brought to a standstill as irate traders took to the streets protesting increased import taxes. Police were forced to lob tear gas to disperse the traders who were determined to push through to Parliament and the Kenya Revenue Authority offices. Kioria Customs Commissioner Dr. Lillian Nyawanda, in a quick rejoinder, said the cost to clear a container increased from about 2.5 million to 3.2 following negotiations with traders, insisting it was an adjustment and not a new tax. Our reporter Joseph Ahungu has
These These were the sights and sounds within Nairobi Central Business District on Friday morning. Small-scale traders from Gikomba, Nyamakima and Nairobi CBD gathered along Moi Avenue and City Hall Way, making good their threat to take to the streets. They were waving placards and blowing vuvuzelas, accusing KRA of introducing new taxes to consolidate cargo unilaterally without adequate consultation. Their march to KRA offices was, however, not without incident. Police officers lobbied tear gas to disperse the traders.
Tulikuwa very peaceful, hata jam tulienda tukijifungulia sisi wenyewe, mpaka mahali tumefika tukatupiwa vitu wa machozi. Hatujui kwa nini.
During the melee, several people were arrested. The confrontation temporarily affected movement and several businesses in the CBD remained closed.
Petitions, processions, picketing are well enshrined in the 2010 Constitution. It is their right. But while so doing, they should not as well interfere with the rights of the others who have nothing to do with the demonstrations.
The traders argue that the 700,000 shillings increase will make it harder for small-scale businesses to survive.
This sudden punitive increase poses an immediate structural threat to the baseline survival of micro importers, local wholesale networks, and everyday retail traders.
In response, KRA dismissed claims of failing to consult with the traders. KRA further says the traders were given 30 days to prepare for implementation, with the August 21st agreed as the implementation date.
No, we've actually had several meetings, and the final meeting that agreed on this 3.2 was minuted. We had physical representations that cuts across different associations. Small-scale traders were represented.
The traders have maintained they will return to the streets next Friday if their concerns are not adequately addressed.
Leo wametufukuza, lakini Ijumaa next Friday tutakuwa tu hapa kwa barabara.
Joseph Wahungu for Easy Friday.
Siaya Governor James Orengo has declared his intention to vie for the presidency, calling for sober and mature politics, particularly among leaders and communities in the Nyanza region. Meanwhile, National Assembly Speaker Moses Wetangula has cautioned politicians against attacking the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission, IEBC. Michael Mondiga has what has been happening across the political spectrum.
Please keep quiet.
Siaya Governor James Orengo is the latest leader to declare his intention to run for presidency in the next poll.
So from today, know that I am the presidential candidate, a serious presidential candidate.
Speaking in Homa Bay County during the burial of KDF officer Stephen Onyango, Orengo urged political leaders to embrace tolerance and issue-based politics, saying competition for leadership should not divide communities.
Wacheni tupige siasa yetu na tupige siasa ya amani, na venye umeileta ndio tutaileta.
Elsewhere, Wiper Patriotic Front and Kalonzo Musyoka, DAP Party Leader Eugene Wamalwa and Democratic Party Leader Justin Muturi on Friday held a series of in Makueni, Kajiado and Taita Taveta counties. It is here that the opposition leaders took issue with the Registrar of Police for what they claim is a delay to register political parties.
Kila mtu apate kitambulisho, nimemwambia Governor Mutula wahakikishe kila mtu ambaye ana miaka 18 anapata kitambulisho.
Tuhakikishe kwamba vijana wetu katika sehemu zote za nchi wanapata haki ya kupatiwa kitambulisho ndio waweze kujiandikisha kwa kura.
Elsewhere, National Assembly Speaker Moses Wetangula has warned politicians against attacking IEBC. Wetangula said attempts to dictate how the electoral body procures its technology and other election materials could erode public confidence in the 2027 general election.
And there is no other referee other than IEBC. And I want to encourage IEBC, act in accordance with the law, act in accordance with the Constitution, act in accordance with your conscience and the public morality expected of you. Don't be intimidated by anybody. Don't act with any fear or favor in any situation.
Meanwhile, a section of leaders from Mount Kenya region are warning against attempts to push the region into a single political party ahead of the 2027 general elections.
Maneno ya chama, tumeambiwa sijui nini, maneno mingi. Mimi kama mama county nasema hapa kwetu Mount Kenya tupate vyama vingi. Chama ni ya kukuingiza kwa uongozi.
Kuna chama inafanya kazi, mtu binafsi ndiye anafanya kazi. Na kama atatufanyia kazi mzuri na ashatufanyia na tumeona, sisi tutasimama na mwenye atafanya kazi.
Finally, People's Party of Kenya PPK leader and Kiharu MP Ndindi Nyoro has faulted the Kenya Kwanza administration for failing to fulfill its campaign pledges to reduce taxes and create a conducive environment for businesses to thrive.
Sasa wanaongezewa kodi from 2.5 million per container to 3.2 million per container. We have been looking for government wajadiliane, lakini serikali imewafungia milango.
Michael Mundiga for Easy Friday.
Let's shift from politics to some health matters now. And the ministry has stepped up emergency measures in Garissa and Wajir counties following a severe dengue fever outbreak that has claimed at least 5 lives. Over 1,000 cases have been confirmed across both counties, with Garissa worst hit, accounting for nearly 1,600 of those infections. Our reporter Nancy Okwari has details on the ministry's targeted interventions to stop the spread of the mosquito-borne dengue fever.
As at August 26th, Garissa County had recorded 1,583 cases, while Wajir County recorded 95 cases, bringing the number of infected persons to 1,678. It is against this backdrop that the Ministry of Health announced measures to control further spread of the disease. In an advisory, the Ministry of Health says it has activated Public Health Emergency Operations Center and enhanced surveillance and screening. Health facilities in affected areas have also been placed on high alert, with suspected cases referred to the National Reference Laboratory for confirmation. The public has been advised to eliminate mosquito breeding sites by emptying, scrubbing and covering water storage containers, disposing of items that collect stagnant water and clearing blocked drains. Other preventative measures include use of mosquito repellent, wearing long clothing, and use of window or door screens. Persons experiencing fever, severe headache, pain behind the eyes, muscle or joint pain, nausea, rash, vomiting or extreme weakness have been urged to seek prompt medical response. Further, they have been urged to use paracetamol for fever and cautioned against using aspirin and ibuprofen, which may increase bleeding risk. Dengue is transmitted mainly by infected Aedes mosquitoes, which commonly bite during the day. Nancy Okwari, Easy Friday.
A Milimani court has temporarily stopped the burial of the late head of data protection of KCB Bank Group, Rosemary Chemutai Ikimwatu, following a dispute between her estranged husband and her family of burial arrangements. Senior Principal Magistrate Agnes Mangi has ordered that Rosemary's remains should not be removed from the Lee funeral home or buried without the involvement of her husband.
The family of the late KCB Bank Group head of data protection, Rosemary Chemutai Kimwatu, may have to wait longer before laying her to rest after the court temporarily halted her burial following a dispute pitting her estranged husband, Kevin Migwa Kimwatu, against her family over the final resting place. In court documents seen by KBC Channel 1, Kevin claims that despite a period of separation, the two had resolved their differences before Rosemary's death, and the deceased had requested to return to their matrimonial home, a request he says he accepted. In his application before the court, Kevin is seeking the immediate release of her body to enable him to oversee the burial arrangements at his ancestral home in Matasia of Gong in Kajiado County. The court has consequently ordered the body remains at the Lee Funeral Home, barring the family, KCB Bank, and other respondents implicated in the legal battle from making any funeral arrangements or proceedings pending the hearing of the case. The matter will come up for mention on Monday. John Kahiro for Prime Edition.
3 people who escaped from lawful custody at the Committee Maximum Prison have been sentenced to 15 years in prison after a Kahawa court found them guilty. Now, Principal Magistrate Gideon Kiage found that the 3, Musharraf Abdallah, Abi Kabir and Joseph Juma Odhiambo, were guilty of the offence after the prosecution presented credible evidence to prove the matter.
The court also heard that the convicts were aided by prison wardens to escape from Committee Maximum Prison.
The 3 convicts, having been convicted of the offence, the court proceeds to sentence them to 15 years imprisonment each.
The 3 will now serve an additional 15 years to their sentences for the escape in prison. Musharraf Abdallah alias Soitar will begin to serve the 15-year sentence from the date of his acquittal in High Court Criminal Appeal number 117 of 2025, while Abikar and Joseph Juma Odhiambo, the 15-year sentence will take effect after the completion of their previous and current jail terms. The ruling comes as the 3 men remain subject to separate custodial sentences arising from their previous convictions.
The convicts are duly informed of their right to appeal within 14 days of the pronouncement of this sentence.
Meanwhile, in Makadara Law Courts, a company director accused of stealing 2.1 million shillings has pleaded not guilty to the charges before Principal Magistrate Juliana Ndengeri. During her bond application, her lawyer challenged the prosecution's case, arguing that no tangible evidence had been presented to substantiate the alleged 2.1 million shillings. The court released her on a bond of 1 million shillings, with the case set to return to court on 2nd December 2026 for further directions. And a prominent Malindi lawyer was called to the witness stand in a 32 million Kenya shillings fraud case involving 2 Italian nationals, where he faced tough questions over his alleged role in a villa sales agreement at Rafiki Villas in Watamu. Tukero Lekina testified before Kilifi Chief Magistrate James Moniki as a defense witness for Daniel Loloko and Massimo Nativi, who are accused of obtaining 17 million shillings from Nisa Napo and 15 million shillings from Girola Fironzo by allegedly claiming they could sublease 2 villas of land in Watamu. Bruce Mayoyo for Easy Friday.
Professor John Okumu has officially taken over as the 7th Kenyatta University Vice-Chancellor in an installation ceremony held Friday. Okumu, who was appointed as the university's head early this month, pledged to prioritize collaboration in research and innovation and tackle financial challenges. He takes over from his predecessor, Professor Paul Wainaina, who hailed him as a hardworking professional who bonds with all. This comes as several universities welcomed new students who reported for their first-year studies.
Is a new dawn for Kenyatta University as Professor John Okumu was officially installed as the 7th Vice-Chancellor. Speaking during the ceremony, Professor Okumu said among the challenges they will be addressing is the question of finances in the wake of dwindling government funding, as well as infrastructural development, which will include the construction of a new 2,500 capacity hostel for new students.
The record of the university in developing new academic programs and securing professional and institutional accreditation demonstrate our capacity for renewal. We must build on that foundation while ensuring that quality remains at the center of expansion.
I'm so privileged to know that we have a council that cares. Key and flag for Kenyatta University is a symbol of continuity and our collective commitment to taking the university forward.
Separately, Taita Taveta University admitted nearly 2,000 first-year students who reported for their studies despite uncertainty over the new university funding model. Students are expected to begin their studies as discussion on the proposed reforms continue. Speaking during the event to welcome first-year students to the university, Vice-Chancellor Professor Simiyu Barasa said the institution had opted to admit all students as they await clarity on the financing framework.
We are expecting and waiting for feedback from the Higher Education Loans Board and the university's fund to be able to tell us what categorization they have given to the students, how much they are to pay in terms of household, and how much the government is sponsoring each student in terms of scholarship and loan.
In the meantime, Bomet University has admitted its first batch of students after attaining a charter as a fully fledged university. According to Acting Vice-Chancellor Professor Charles Mutai, the university admitted 3,906 and is set to receive another 500, adding its population to 12,106.
It's very important for them to know that they carry destiny in them, and they should guard what God has put in them. And more importantly, it is important for them also to know, as I said, they came here alone and they will leave this place alone. Sometimes life can be very interesting when you are so many. The pastor talked about being within a forest.
Mutai, who led the matriculation of the students, said the national government will meet the accommodation shortage by constructing 1,200 units to house students.
The government has assisted us in terms of accommodation, and we have affordable housing for student hostels being constructed for us by the government of Kenya.
The university is set to hold its first graduation on 30th October 2026. Timothy Kipnusu for Easy Friday.
Construction work for the 40 classrooms pledged by President William Ruto in Maseno School back in May this year have begun. Presiding over the groundbreaking and site handover ceremony at the institution, the Maseno School Alumni Association Chairperson Joe Aguer, along with the school's administration, termed the development a game changer in the institution's rebuild mission.
Having existed for over 120 years, the Maseno School infrastructure is eventually wearing out, drawing a critical need for a rebuild, not just to reflect its C1 status, but also to accommodate the 2,900 student population currently registered at the school.
Praise the Lord, praise the Lord.
In May this year, President William Ruto pledged to spearhead the school's rebuilding mission. The pledge was fulfilled on Friday following the groundbreaking and site handover for the construction of 40 classrooms and 8 laboratories as part of the first phase of the scheduled rebuilding.
Well, a lot of people take this for granted, but it takes leadership for him to embrace our vision and say, yes, this is the way to go, and we'll provide the government will provide the resources. That was quite something.
My work actually as the principal of the school is to appreciate those who have come in handy, led by His Excellency the President.
This day begins and marks the renewal of Maseno School in such a way that for another 100 years, Maseno School will be a modern school. So we appreciate Your Excellency.
According to Joe Aguer, the chairperson of the Maseno School Alumni Association, the modern classrooms and the laboratories will be ready in the next 6 months.
His Excellency the President wanted it done in 3 months. But now talking to the contractor, he thinks that's a bit ambitious. But that means that we've got something to deliver here and deliver it as quickly as possible.
Also in the pipeline are 270 accommodation units for the teaching staff, a 3,000 capacity multipurpose hall, as well as a sports complex.
As we are thinking of the students, we are similarly thinking of the teachers because the two go together.
The school's principal, Peter Owino, revealed that arrangements are in place to onboard the BOM teachers on the TSC payroll to address the teacher shortage at the institution. Reporting for Channel 1 from Kisumu County, I am Wycliffe Okech.
Calls for concerted regional efforts to ensure access to quality and equitable education for all learners have dominated the closing ceremony of the second East African Community Regional Conference on Education in Nairobi. Education stakeholders, led by Kenya's Basic Education Principal Secretary John Ololtua, say the move will be critical in addressing the common challenges cutting across the East African community, including teacher shortages, infrastructure gaps, and limited access to inclusive learning opportunities.
The discussions during this conference have demonstrated that while our partner states operate within different national contexts, we face many common challenges that we can be able to address together. We as government are very committed to all the elements that have been highlighted, which include but not limited to strengthening teacher education, professional development, enhancing the budgets to education. Already Kenya, the Republic of Kenya, has over 27% of the budget allocated to education, and also enhancing the use of data, digital technology, strengthening STEM education, and promoting technical and vocational education.
Now, young lawyers and students have been urged to seize arbitration dispute resolution opportunities. The calls were made during a masterclass that brought together legal professionals for an engagement session hosted by Promise of Leadership and AAA Dispute Resolution in Nairobi's Lavington area. Speaking during the engagement, leading trainer, Professor Wayne Mutuma, said that arbitration dispute resolution is not just about resolving conflicts, but it is about making better decisions before, during and after disputes. He further noted that arbitration continues to evolve beyond solving disputes, becoming an important part of how business how businesses manage risk, protect commercial relationships and achieve certainty.
For the perfect ecosystem in terms of succession, which is a crop of a new generation. A lot of the people are fairly young in their professions. ADROs has always had the problem of, they say the average age of the arbitrator being 60. I think that story is changing because now we're empowering people to understand what that environment really looks like.
I've learned a lot, but in summary, I've learned that particularly for young lawyers, there is need to expand the scope of our understanding of legal practice. And arbitration is really emerging as a field that provides a lot of opportunities, particularly, whichever way you choose to look at it in the commercial space. Today I've learned about family arbitration, and I'm sure there are many other emerging areas in arbitration which offer young lawyers said opportunities.
Today's session, it was very, very insightful, and something that really stood out to me was the value of a properly drafted arbitration clause with specific focus to how it shapes an arbitration session from start to finish. I think that is something that we were all able to take away from this masterclass, and I'm really looking forward to more sessions if they do come.
Time for us now to take a very well-deserved breather. We'll be coming back with more news. Don't go too far.
What is cervical cancer? What causes it, and how does a woman develop it?
I'll start by just putting it into context.
Okay.
Cervical cancer is a cancer that is affecting the reproductive, a part of the reproductive organs of the female.
I was diagnosed in 2023, September. It was on a Sunday. I was coming from church. I got to my house. I went to the loo. And I felt like there's something heavy that wants to come out. You see the way you're on your menses and there's a clot that wants to come out, but it's not. So I was curious about it.
So the disease is very silent. And by the time it is producing symptoms, then it is normally at a bit of an advanced stage. And that is where we come back to the screening aspect, because when we do screening, then we can actually identify the disease early.
When we were doing the fundraising, my mom reached out to a friend of hers, and this person told her, pesa tutachanga, but si unajua akiwa na cancer she'll just die.
Oh dear.
But I'm here. It's 2 years down the line, and I'm still living to tell my story, and it is a testimony. So yeah, cancer can be healed.
Every story begins with possibility.
And I went surgery, and that's how I was transformed. From a nose reader to a touch reader.
Able Differently is a celebration of resilience.
And I was trying to answer the question, how do visually impaired people interact with fashion?
Talent. And the extraordinary ways people redefine what's possible. Beyond labels and limitations, we meet individuals who are breaking barriers.
Spend your way
nipatie opportunity, nipatie kazi niende nifanye.
Because being different isn't a limitation. It's a different kind of strength. Able differently, inspiring ability, changing perspectives.
Welcome back. You're watching Easy Friday. Nairobi's long-running garbage ISO could soon be a thing of the past following a partnership between the county government and a private entity to manage waste. The partnership will result in a waste management program targeting all the 17 sub-counties. The initiative will see accumulated legacy waste and other refuse collected in a bid to restore cleanliness across the capital and address waste that has continued to affect businesses and residents.
Waste management has been an issue of concern for Nairobi residents for some time now. However, this is set to change thanks to a waste management initiative between Nairobi County and Zoom Lion. The impact of their works is already being felt in Nairobi's Korogocho market.
Tumefurahi juu hii kazi tunafanyiwa hapa na tunashukuru juu saa zile inabebwa haitazidi kukua na kufunga njia na kwenda kwa wale watu wanauzia. Juu changamoto tunapatananga nayo ni saa zile inajaa inakosa kubebwa.
The initiative has, according to Korogocho Association Secretary Joel Njeru, been a major reprieve for traders in Korogocho market.
Kulingana na utaratibu ama mpangilio yenye imekuwa kwa saa hii ikaweza kuendelea, soko yetu at least tutaweza kupata nafuu na kila mtu ile shilingi alikuwa anapata kiasi itaongezeka, kwa sababu wakati unafanya biashara tunasemanga ufanye biashara kwa gharama ya chini vile iwezekanavyo.
The Ruaraka Sub-County Environment Officer Evans Ocheng says the waste management initiative has already helped close 5 illegal dumping sites in Nairobi.
They are illegal, and when we have these collection points within our wards, anybody will want to take waste there, and then we also have the children, the community who engages with waste physically, so it will affect them in one way or the other. So our aim is to close the illegal collection points so that we collect our waste from source all the way to the dump site or the compost site.
The initiative, he says, is also promoting cleaner and more sustainable waste management practices. Zoom Lion's Operation Manager Lord Mike Tagoe says Nairobi residents should expect a cleaner city as the initiative expands.
Yeah, eventually, when everything is done, when we start with the full phase of the secondary collection system, where we have our trucks, all the trucks working, where we have all the containers placed at the sites where these illegal dump sites are, and when all the other stages of the project moves in, we hope to have a very sanitized situation in the county. We want them to also support what we are doing. We also want them to, as it were, dump into the containers when we bring them in, so that it makes collection easy.
The project will be replicated in the 17 sub-counties in Nairobi.
The expected El Nino rains could be the worst Kenya has experienced in years, with counties already mapping areas likely to be affected and putting measures in place to mitigate the impact. The chairperson of the Environment and Climate Change Committee at the Council of Governors, and that is the Vihiga Governor Dr. Wilbur Otichilo, says county governments have been given adequate warning to prepare for possible flooding, damage to infrastructure and disruption of essential services. The warning comes as climate change experts call for greater investment in preparedness and stronger community-level response mechanisms.
Counties are being urged to move beyond the weather forecast and put in place practical measures to protect communities ahead of the expected El Nino rains.
And it's expected to be probably the worst that we have experienced in many years. So it's important that we prepare, and I believe we have been given enough time. The forecast came in very early, so we shall not have an excuse that we didn't get to know what is likely to happen.
Through the Council of Governors, County governments have established community disaster management committees and are mapping areas likely to be affected by El Nino.
We have formed community disaster management committees in each of our counties, and already we are doing the mapping of areas that are prone or likely to suffer from El Nino, and particularly in our towns, we have put up programs to do drainage, because mainly if we are going to have lots of rain, drainage is usually the biggest challenge.
But the workshop also turned attention to a wider climate change, ensuring that Kenya's transition to cleaner energy does not leave vulnerable communities behind.
Today's conversation is about more than energy. It's about who gets connected, who gets hurt, where investment goes, and ultimately, who benefits from Kenya's energy transition.
We are going to work together and put our efforts towards influencing the financing, because everything boils down to where is the money going.
We also want to strengthen the coordination among CSOs and faith actors for sustained engagement with the African Development Bank and government processes. And I hope we come out with some good ideas, especially in terms of the energy sector and how we can contribute to make things more efficient.
The Kenya Climate Change Working Group says it is assessing financing by the African Development Bank for decentralized renewable energy in Kenya.
In 2019, the Kenya Climate Change Working Group, together with other civil society organizations, were able to influence Africa Development Bank to stop financing the coal plant in Lamu. They say they are no longer going to fund fossil projects in Africa. Isn't that a milestone?
For counties, the response is also increasingly shifting toward renewable energy as authorities seek alternatives to expensive and unreliable grid power.
I'm changing all my street lighting, mainly the main high mast, from main grid to solar. Because when I have the high mast using Kenya Power, every month I pay more than 4,000 shillings for one. And I have more than about 67. So it was so expensive.
Small-scale farmers are calling on the government to support young farmers with modern technology equipment for irrigation systems that can give them, that can give them a foundation to build sustainable agricultural business. And speaking during the launch of Hydromax Solar Power, Sunculture Chief Product Officer Tim Mushai noted that solar-powered irrigation enables farmers to reduce dependence on costly fuel while improving household livelihoods.
Without Sunculture, their crops would have dried out. Without Sunculture, their farms would not be as profitable. And our solutions are able to give farmers all over the country and all over Africa, to be honest, the opportunity to make a livelihood. And again, just for young people who don't have to come from farms, who can stay back home, who can stay in their homes and profitably make a living, as we know, in these interesting times.
Maybe serikali ambayo huangalia mambo mengi ikuje idhamini watoto wetu ndivyo wapate machine. Wakipata hizi mashini, uzuri wake ziko na lifespan ya zaidi ya miaka mingi sana. Kwa hivyo huyu mtoto akipata kama sora ya Sunculture ambayo inakaa zaidi ya miaka 20, miaka 30, hiyo mashini itamsaidia sana na atajikuza.
Ni vizuri kujoin hii mambo ya farming, tap that opportunity, because ukiwa young you will grow with this farming thing. Ni vizuri sana kujikakamua, si ukimaliza shule umekaa ungoje, hakuna kazi Kenya, but when you have this opportunity, grab it and you will see something great and good.
The Kikuyu Council of Elders has raised alarm over the sale and use of illicit brews in the larger Mount Kenya region. The council says the brews are taking a toll on families and livelihoods.
Speaking in their Two Rivers headquarters, Kiambu County, the council decried the loss of young lives through the conception of second-generation brews. The group is now calling both the county and national government to address the menace before it becomes a national disaster.
Hii ni kilio kubwa kwa jamii zetu. Tumepoteza vijana wengi sana kwa sababu ya pombe. Na isipokuwa tuchikane tukiwa wote. Tukubali tuchikane sisi, Kikuyu Council of Elders, wasawale wengine, serikali. Kwa sababu hii sasa, kama vile sekretari amesema, hatuje kulaumu mtu yeyote.
And the national government has set aside 2.4 billion shillings to expand electricity connectivity to rural areas across Migori County. Petroleum and Energy Cabinet Secretary Opiyo Wandayi says 450 million shillings of the allocation will benefit Awendo constituency.
Serikali kuu inawashughulikia vilivyo. Hii mwaka wa fedha, hii kaunti ya Migori imetengewa pesa taslimu shilingi 2.7 billion kwa ajili ya kuunganisha stima kwa manyumba karibu 25,000.
Furahi na stima ni mzuri.
Still in Migori County, Migori's Deputy Governor Dr. Joseph Mahiri has called upon the Kioria community to allow their children to attend schools instead of engaging in mining activities.
Kuja kwangu hapa nilikuja kuhimiza watoto wa shule kwamba masomo ni muhimu sana, wasingatie masomo yao na pia kuongea na wazazi wao kwamba kitu muhimu sana ambacho watapatia hawa watoto ni kuhakikisha kwamba wameenda shule.
Wengi walikuwa wakitumia yebo kuja shuleni, lakini naona hata watoto wengine leo wamefurahia kuvaa viatu, wamevaa socks, wamejisikia.
Meanwhile, in Kiambu County, the Department for Children's Services in collaboration with Sola Mtaani has joined together to train children who are in conflict with the law in Kabete Children Rehabilitation Center.
We don't have enough solar technicians, and more so the girl child. Most of the solar technicians we have also do not have certificates. Here we, together with the NITA, NITA is able to offer certificates and certify that these are actual technicians who have qualified.
What we do after all the training, we also offer psychosocial support to help the students to be empowered fully such that they can be confident as they work in the solar industry.
Elsewhere, farmers in Teso North are said to benefit more from cotton farming following the establishment of a ginnery at Jairo's Farmers Cooperative Society, where installation of the processing machine is underway.
Tulipata fedha na mashini zimefika, umeona installation yanaendelea. Sasa tumetoka kwa Cooperative Society, tuna graduate sasa kwa ginnery this season. Tunaenda kujini cotton hapa, tunaenda ku press bells ya lenti hapa.
Finally, Ghetto Children Hostel has called on health facilities in the country to treat sustainability as an operational priority rather than a standalone environmental initiative.
Moving from reliance fully on the grid to a solar system means that you save up to 30%, anywhere between 17 and 30% of your power bill. And that still means that you're also consuming less natural resources.
We use our natural light, which we've been doing, and then also conserve the natural environment, just keep everything green.
Efforts to address challenges in accessing clean water in Nairobi's Kibera informal settlement have started bearing fruit, with residents lauding a non-governmental organization for bringing water close to their homes and businesses.
For women and girls in Kibera, the ease in access of water goes far beyond turning on a tap. It means saving time, earning an income, as narrated by fish trader Rosemary Akinyi.
Tangu maji ya Sofco ikuje, tunakunywa direct. Hakuna kuchemsha maji, hakuna kutibu maji. Wakati tulikuwa tunakunywa ya tap, watu wa Sofco walikuwa wanatembea na madawa, wakitupea madawa. Lakini sisi wenyewe hatutaki kutumia hizo madawa kwa sababu tulijua utatumia hiyo dawa saa ngapi. Ilikuwa tukichota si tunakunywa, afadhali uhare mbele na umekunywa una saa ya kutibu maji.
Reflecting on this year's World Water commemoration, she says the agony of walking 4 kilometers in search of water and spending 300 shillings for 200 liters is now a thing of the past, as she now pays just 30 shillings at a nearby Sofco kiosk.
Tena watoto wetu sasa wanachota maji mara moja kwa wiki. Sasa mtoto anaenda shule akikuwa msafi, Mimi niko na watoto wasichana na unajua tu hali ya watoto wa wasichana. Sasa hii mtoto anaamka saa 11 anaoga anaenda kwa shule safi.
So this is the water ATM system. So like it has these buttons here. So each button corresponds to a specific tap. So when a client came here, they choose a tap that they want to use to draw water from. They just press, then present their token here. Then the water comes out. Yeah. So like our water ATMs are always automated per 20-liter jerrycan, and each 20-liter jerrycan costs 3 shillings.
Maureen Nelima also remembers walking for miles in search of the precious commodity, sometimes returning home without enough for her children.
Na sasa hivi vile maji ya shofko tumeletewa hapa, tunajisikia vizuri sana. Naweza oga hata mara 3 kwa siku. Hiyo maji imetusaidia sana. Tunachota tu saa yote yenye unataka bora uko na token.
Shofco founder and CEO Dr. Kennedy Odede says the organization has connected 45 schools in Kibera to water and built ablution blocks to improve sanitation and support girls' education.
In sanitation, we cannot forget how it's important to work with the government. Because honestly, the best solution is the government to take care of sanitation. They cannot, then how do we partner? But our partnership is along the way, the government should continue.
Facilities that are providing showers with clean and warm water so that they can be able to be comfortable during their menses and have private spaces whereby they can be able to take care of their needs during their menstrual periods. This is critical because it is not only about investing in infrastructure. It is about investing infrastructure that is supportive of retention of these children in school.
54 digital kiosks serving about 60,000 people daily, Kibera's water story is becoming a story of opportunity where every liter saved can translate into income, education, and dignity.
Gaela Tikaya la patrona, Gilda Sambendengesi.
For the men and women of substance, Mambo ni matatu. 1. KBC Channel 1. 2. Saturday. And 3. Rumba. Vile tu wamesema rumba, nimeingia ndani ya nyumba, ndani ya kipindi, nikupatie miziki ya rumba, miziki tamu sana. Every Saturday from 10 p.m. to midnight, join me, Simeon Mfumu Kimbangu, the Rumba Supreme Leader, alongside DJ Mato Sibor mwenyewe. Rumba ya PDG ndani ya Bridge over Congo, KBC Channel 1, Toleka.
The wait is over. KBC Iko Huduma Center. Starting with Nairobi, kupata huduma za KBC imekuwa rahisi. From digital guidance and signet services to booking of commercial adverts and documentaries. Visit our dedicated desks at Huduma Center GPO, Times Square, Makadara, Kibera, or Isili. Tunakungoja hapo. Whether it's a casual announcement or a specialized media solution for your business, we are here to serve you. KBC at Huduma Centers, moving closer to you. Your station, your service.
Hello and welcome. You're just in time for Easy Friday Business with me, Alan Aoko.
Now, e-commerce players are calling for enhanced collaborations in the fight against fraud on online trading platforms. Kenya E-Commerce Alliance Chief Executive Officer Martin Muli is proposing tougher regulations, including certifications of online merchants, which it once incorporated into Kenya's e-commerce strategy.
The e-commerce market in Kenya is projected to hit $500 billion in 3 years. However, fraud cases remain rampant and has been among factors slowing adoption of e-commerce despite increased internet penetration in the country. To address this, players in the e-commerce space are calling for tougher regulations to fight fraud incidences in online trading platforms. Kenya E-Commerce Alliance Chief Executive Officer Martin Muli says there's need for enhanced safeguards to protect online trading merchants and buyers from fraudulent transactions and promote accountability.
Apart from what comes from the consumer, there are also a few fraudulent retailers that one would like to scam the public or the consumers. So what retailers have been complaining about is the fraudulent retailers. And the question is, how do we deal with them? And that's what we are calling standardization.
The Alliance is proposing increased certification and standardization for online merchants to weed out unscrupulous traders and attract more investors into the space.
We want to make sure that anyone who has a business is not involved in fraud are also protected and are also get satisfied through a standardization tool that we're going to introduce in the market.
Online traders are also rooting for harmonization of digital policies in East Africa to deepen e-commerce and cross-border business.
If they're integrated digitally, you don't even have to move from where you are to go and make a payment. M-Pesa, our phones is a very good example, or just clicking on the screen and making the payment to access the goods you want right from home.
A small SME in Uganda is currently trading through Instagram and WhatsApp business, and just by an avenue just like that, they have opportunity to trade across borders, so as far as even South Africa.
Benson Rioba reporting for Easy Friday.
And Britam Holdings has reported 2.7 billion shillings in net profit during the first 6 months of this year, representing a 53% increase that was mainly supported by income from investment properties. Elsewhere, Old Mutual Holdings has announced 882 million shillings in first half net profit that was driven by commissions, fees and other income.
Britam Holdings saw its insurance revenue rising 13.7% to 24.4 billion shillings. However, its net investment income reduced 24.4% to 13.4 billion shillings on account of lower gains on financial assets.
We continue looking at the markets, taking advantage of the opportunities that exist on the investment side, and our interest and dividend income again did grow by 13% to close at 12 billion.
Despite this, the company posted a higher profit of 2.7 billion shillings, up 53%, that was supported by net insurance finance expenses, which reduced 31.6% to 10.9 billion shillings. Britam Holdings has not proposed any interim dividend payout to shareholders, with the company focusing on what it terms as disciplined execution of its strategic priorities. Elsewhere, Old Mutual Holdings has reported 882 million shillings in its half-year net profit, representing a jump from 5 million shillings profit that the firm recorded during a similar period last year. Even though insurance revenue remained flat at 16.3 billion shillings, the firm's profit was mainly driven by lower expenses from reassurance contract and higher commission fees and other income. Just as was the case last year, Old Mutual Holdings has not proposed any interim dividend payout to shareholders, highlighting that it is focusing on the balance sheet restructuring.
This, from a profit perspective, result we are very proud about. Not just that our bottom line numbers speak to a very strong half year.
He said Old Mutual Holdings will for the rest of this year focus on strengthening claims management, fraud prevention, and use of technology to build a stronger business.
Mutual recognition of standards will help African traders avoid multiple inspections and certification requirements. Head of Public Service Felix Koskei is urging African countries to harmonize product standards to make it easier and cheaper for businesses to trade across borders under the African Continental Free Trade Area.
Africa's market of more than 1.4 billion people presents a major opportunity for increased intra-African trade, but differences in product standards and repeated inspections continue to raise the cost of doing business across borders.
Every certificate we align, every technical regulation we harmonize, and every barrier to intra-Africa trade we dismantle is a tangible step towards what the African Agenda 2063 envisions: self-reliance, industrialized, and trading confidently with self.
Head of Public Service Felix Koskei says harmonized and mutually recognized standards will allow a product certified in one African country to access other markets more easily, supporting farmers and manufacturers seeking to expand across the continent.
Fellow governments across the continent treat harmonized standards not as ASO's mandate alone, but as a shared instrument of national competitiveness to be championed from the highest levels of public administration.
Speaking during the Africa Organization for Standardization 32nd General Assembly, Koskei has said Kenya is working with the African Union to address persistent barriers that are hindering trade.
As countries are sitting, as AU are sitting and cracking their heads on how to connect these countries either by road or by air to their cities, we need to be ahead and come up with a practical solution on how we can seamlessly trade.
During the meeting, Koskei was appointed Goodwill Ambassador of the African Organization for Standardization.
As I take up this role, I commit to two things in particular, which I'll pursue with the same discipline I bring to coordinating government business.
The General Assembly is being held under the theme Standards Enabling Intra-African Trade under the Africa Continental Free Trade Area, One Certificate, Working for You. Ndutamukami for Easy Friday.
And Team Sky Media Services has won 4 awards at the 2025 Public Relations Society of Kenya Awards for developing strategic, creative and impactful communication campaigns across diverse sectors. Team Sky Media Services General Manager Beverly Naliaka was awarded the Moran Award for her contribution to the public relations industry. Naliaka said the awards reflected the team's creativity and commitment, as well as confidence by clients to deliver impactful communication campaigns. Other PR agencies that were awarded at the event held in Nairobi were IMG Kenya, Oxygen MCL, Crestwood Marketing and Communications, P&L Consulting, APN Group and Engage Communications. Meanwhile, the Nairobi Securities Exchange has more than quadrupled its first-half net profit to 736.9 million shillings as higher trading activity boosted revenues. Equity transaction levy income grew sixfold to 770.5 million shillings from 133.9 million shillings, driving up the bourse's earnings, as Regina Manyara narrates.
Market performance at the Nairobi Securities Exchange recorded strong gains during the first 6 months of 2026, fueled by increased investor participation, improved market liquidity, strong domestic and foreign investor confidence, and continued capital reallocation to listed securities. The equity market was highlighted by a turnover rising of 476% to 322 billion shillings, supported by increased participation from both institutional and retail investors, alongside a block trade of Safaricom shares worth 204.3 billion shillings. Furthermore, the bond market turnover increased by 22% to 1.7 trillion shillings, driven by high activity in the secondary bond market and increased government bond reopenings. The increased activities within the equities bonds and derivatives markets were key in pushing up the Nairobi Securities Exchange total income, doubled from 511 to 1.2 billion shillings. This transaction levy that more than quadrupled from 133.9 million shillings to 770.5 million shillings. On the other hand, expenses was flat at 309.7 million shillings after the reductions in staff and system maintenance costs were offset by other operating expenses. The Nairobi Securities Exchange's total assets grew by 58% to 3.6 billion shillings, mainly on account of higher cash and bank deposits, as well as other assets. Despite the 386% jump in net profit, the Board of Directors of the Nairobi Bulls has not recommended an interim dividend payout to stakeholders. Regina Manyara reporting for KBC Channel 1.
And the government plans to spend 3 billion shillings to tarmac various roads around Mwea irrigation scheme in a bid to improve rice farming in the region. For years, rice farmers around Mwea irrigation scheme have struggled with poor road infrastructure affecting production due to impassable roads. Farmers in Mwea irrigation scheme have welcomed the move to tarmac roads traversing the rice belt, saying it will ease transportation of their produce to the markets and homes. The farmers said for decades they have been forced to use animal carts to transport their produce due to the deplorable state of roads. One of the roads under construction is the Kutus Kimbimbi Road. They are calling on all contractors awarded various road projects to speed up.
Nilikuwa na baiskeli lakini ungeenda asubuhi maybe wakati ya kujanyesha, lakini jioni ukirudi labda ubebe baiskeli yako kwa bega kwa sababu kurudi nayo itakuwa shida.
Ukienda kwa shamba unatoa mizigo yako na gari ya ng'ombe na unatafuta watu wakuja wasukume ndio ikuje karibu na wewe, ikuje kwa barabara tena ifike Musakudhe. Ukifika Musakudhe ile kitu nauza kuko Kutus inakuwa shida tupu kwa sababu pesa yote imekuwa expensive kwa barabara.
Hapo kitambo kupeleka ilikuwa ni ngumu sana juu ilikuwa mashimo tupu. Ungepeleka mzigo kama ukianzia asubuhi utafika kule kama saa 6.
Kenya is eyeing a slice of the fashion tourism market as the country seeks to diversify its revenue from tourism. The country will host Africa's next Supermodel 2026, which will bring thousands of models to Nairobi. Tourism Principal Secretary Julius Bitok stated that the scouting campaign for Africa's next Supermodel 2026 will run through the end of September, with casting sessions set to take place across Kenya. The initiative aims to uncover talent beyond major urban centers while drawing aspiring models from all over African nations, including Angola, Cote d'Ivoire, Ghana, Rwanda, the Democratic Republic of Congo, South Sudan, and Ethiopia.
We are announcing Africa's next supermodel, which will take place on November 21st, 2026 here in Nairobi. And I'm proud to announce that the Ministry of Tourism and Wildlife is proudly endorsing Africa's next supermodel. Ladies and gentlemen, allow me to welcome all the girls to compete in this year's Africa next supermodel.
Further afield now, a group of 100 firms, including Google, Microsoft, Anthropic, and OpenAI, have signed an open letter calling on countries and organizations around the world to beef up their cyber defenses before AI grows powerful enough to override them. The letter warns that cyber attacks which use AI will become both more widespread and more sophisticated in a matter of months as the technology rapidly improves. Details of this and other stories in today's International Business Roundup.
Other firms to have signed the letter include banks such as Capital One, payment processors MasterCard and Visa, and other major tech firms including Adobe, Oracle, and IBM. They call on governments to provide capable defensive AI and testing to hospitals and water utilities, and on technology companies to aid such efforts. Collectively, tech and government should bring the full weight of their technology, resources and expertise to this effort, according to the letter. The letter comes after a string of significant hacking and cybersecurity breaches have been made public. And the Japanese government is looking between stimulating economic growth, expanding fiscal spending, and containing debt risks. Japan's real gross domestic product GDP grew 0.3% quarter-on-quarter in the second quarter of 2026, the Cabinet Office said in a preliminary report on August 17th. Meanwhile, yields on Japanese long-term government bonds have continued to climb. The rise in long-term interest rates signals further increases in the government's future interest. Japan's Ministry of Finance has already raised the assumed interest rates for the fiscal 2027 budget to 3.8%, up from the previous 3%. Finally, prolonged heat and low rainfall have caused water levels on the Danube River in Bulgaria to drop sharply since the early summer, leaving most sections unnavigable by late August and forcing many farmers to struggle to get their grain to market. Grain exports are an important part of Bulgaria's foreign trade. The country's wheat, corn and sunflower seeds are sold in large quantities to Greece, Germany and Nordic countries. In the year 2025, Bulgaria's agricultural exports euros, about 8.2 billion. Most of Bulgaria's grain-producing areas are in, while its main export ports are on the Black Sea coast in the south. In previous years, most grain from production areas to ports was transported, but this year the vital artery has been blocked by drought.
Well, that's why we cap it here at the Easy Friday Business Desk with me, Alan Aoko. But up next is sports.
Hii kwenye mkulima. Tunaangazia jinsi ya kuwalea vifaranga.
Wakulima wale wanapenda kwenda ile chakula bei rahisi. Unasiaga tu mahindi, unanunua chenga, unanunua unachanganya. Wewe unakuta mapato ukilinganisha na. Ndio maana inasemekana if you want to do commercial, feed commercial.
Ungana nasi kila Jumamosi saa 10:30 hapa KBC Channel 1. Konseso kamili.
I was praying to God. I was telling God, take me instead.
Courtney stayed in the room with her son. She and her mother began praying over Kobe and saying their final goodbyes.
And I just kept pleading with God. I don't care, just give him back.
We're creating a space where people could dance, can worship.
We're here to celebrate each other, here to praise the Lord. We're here for community.
We're celebrating people coming back home. Even though it's not CCM or like traditional gospel music, it's still okay to dance.
What about the spirit? What does the spirit realm say? What I believe and what I've seen so far, God will never bring something to you that is against Him, against the faith that you're carrying.
A very good evening to you. My name is Daniel Wahome and welcome to Easy Friday Sport. The national women's volleyball team Malkia Strikers have boosted their chances of retaining their title at the 2026 CAVB Women's Africa Nations Volleyball Championship in Nairobi after completing the group stage with a perfect record. The defending champion secured 6 points from 2 matches, sweeping both Zambia and Mali 3-0 at the Kasarani Indoor Arena. The results send the hosts through to the round of 16 with maximum points. Malkia strikers will now turn their attention to the knockout stage as they target another deep run in the competition. The championship carries added significance, with the winners securing qualification for the 2028 Olympic Games, while the top 3 teams will land places at the 2027 FIVB Women's World Championship. And Sports Cabinet Secretary Salim Mvurya has welcomed the CAF delegation to Kenya for the second inspection of the country's preparation to host the Total Energies CAF Africa Cup of Nations Pamoja 2027. Mvurya received the delegation led by CAF Head of Competitions Khalid Nassar, saying Kenya remained committed to meeting CAF requirements and delivering a successful continental tournament alongside co-hosts Uganda and Tanzania. The inspection follows a Pamoja oversight engagement during which reaffirmed their collective commitment to delivering a memorable Africa as a leading sports and tourism destination. The CAF team will assess competition venues, training facilities and supporting infrastructure in Nairobi before proceeding to Eldoret, where it will inspect Kipchoge Keino Stadium as a potential alternative competition venue.
For the 3 countries, this is the first time that we are hosting a continental tournament. West Africa, North Africa, and South Africa have been ahead of us on matters football, and therefore this is a golden opportunity for us.
2 world records went down last night in the women's 100-meter hurdles. Masai Russell 12.09, Toby Abu Sanad clocked 12.12, and also 45.80 for Alison Dos Santos in the men's 400-meter hurdles. A great night of athletics. And Kenya's top practical shooting marksmen have arrived in Harare for the prestigious Zimbabwe Open 2026, a Level 3 International Practical Shooting Confederation IPSC handgun champion, kicking off tomorrow at the Cleveland Pistol Club, running from the 29th of August to the 30th. The 2-day regional showdown brings together approximately 150 elite competitors from across Africa, including powerhouse contingents from South Africa, Egypt, Namibia, and the host nation Zimbabwe. Kenya is being represented by a highly competitive 6-member contingent spanning 3 major IPSC divisions. Leading the charge in the Open division is Norman Mughal, while Pravir Vohra, Peter Njoroge, and Hakim Daoud Abdul will contest the fiercely competitive standard division. Rounding out the national team in the production division are Ibrahim Ndongo and Suhaib Timini. And so that's the sport for tonight. Over to you, JJ.
Thank you very much, Daniel Ohome. It's time for us now to put a cap on Easy Friday. Thank you very much for your company. God bless you. Our sign language interpreter has been Anne Wangeshi. My name is John Jacob Kioria. Good night.